My name is Elijah Rivers, and I was locked in a prison cell for 54 years for something I did. I know that sounds impossible, unbelievable even, but the truth doesn't care whether people believe it. It just waits, buried beneath silence, until someone dares to dig it out. I was just 18 years old. No car, no lawyer, no one powerful behind me. Just a skinny teenager from the south side with a dream of becoming a mechanic like my uncle. One day I went out to buy a soda. Two police officers pulled up, guns drawn. They told me I fit the description of a suspect in a robbery that happened 40 minutes earlier. I didn't even know what robbery they were talking about, but that didn't matter, because I looked like the person they wanted. That was all it took. No fingerprints, no evidence, no questions. Just three in a rushed decision. I remember the courtroom. I can still hear the sound of my own voice shaking when I tried to speak. I said, I didn't do it. Please believe me. But no one looked me in the eye. No lawyer stood beside me. No one asked if I had an alibi. No one cared where I was or who I really was. They saw my skin. They saw my fear. And they saw a case they could close. The verdict came fast. Life sentence. No appeals. No questions. Just silence and steel bars. I lost everything before I had the chance to build anything. My friends disappeared. My mother passed away before I could say goodbye. Birthdays came and went like dust in the wind. I remember sitting in that tiny cell staring at the wall, wondering how time could move so slowly and still leave you behind. But somehow, I didn't give up. Not because I was strong, not because I had a plan, but because something small inside me refused to die. Faith, it wasn't always steady, it wasn't always loud, but it flickered like a match in the rain. And then one day, I started to sing. I didn't have any instruments, no music sheets, just a voice and a heart that refused to go quiet. I would sing in the mornings. I'd hum at night when the loneliness hit the hardest. I sang not because I thought someone would hear me, but because I needed to hear myself. Because when I sang, I felt human again. I was an inmate 46,328. I was Elijah. I was a son, a boy who once dreamed of fixing engines and dancing to the radio. Years passed. Years turned into decades. The world outside changed, but in that prison, time stood still. Then, after 51 years behind bars, something I never expected happened. Malin, young, a public defense investigator, he said, Elijah, I read your case file. Something doesn't add up. He spent 3 years looking deeper, interviewed old witnesses, tracked down forgotten documents, and finally, the truth surfaced. I was innocent. Up to 54 years, they opened the gates, but they did give me back my life. They didn't hand me a key to the world. They just said, you're free to go. No home, no job, no phone, no family left to welcome me. But they couldn't take everything because I still had my voice. I still had my song, and I still had the God who sat beside me every night when no one else did. That's why I'm here, not to ask for pity, not to point fingers, but to remind you of something I had to learn the hardest way possible. When the world forgets you, when justice fails, when the darkness tells you that your story is over, there's still a light. Sometimes it flickers, sometimes it's buried, but it's still there. It's your voice, in your faith, in your song, and if you let it rise, even after 54 years of silence, it can still be heard. So if you'll let me, I'd like to sing now, not for applause, but for the one who never left me, for the one who sat with me in the quiet, or the one who heard my voice when the world refused to listen. This is the song that kept me alive.
I watch the years like raindrops fall. Behind these walls I lost it all. My name, my youth, my mother's face, all stolen time I can't replace. But in the silence I still heard a voice much deeper than this world. You never left me through the night. When I was breaking, you held tight. When I had nothing, you were there. I cried alone, but you still cared. 54 years behind that door, but you were there forevermore. I carved my prayers into the floor, forgotten hopes, a life at war. But even in that darkest cell, your light found me and broke the spell. No chains could stop what you became. My song, my breath, my only flame. You never left me through the pain. When I was drowning, you remained. They took my world, but not my soul. You made the broken pieces whole. 54 years behind that door, but you were there forevermore. Let them count the years they stole. Let them say what they control, but they can never touch the sound of grace that raised me from the ground. You never left me, not one day, even when hope had slipped away. You were the fire in my bones, the only truth I've ever known. 54 years behind that door, but you were there forevermore. You were there when no one else was. Now I sing because I'm still